Hey there, Storm fans. Bryant Cook here. It's about 10 minutes before the BNR goes live, and I'm going to share some of my predictions, what I think should happen, and, deck thoughts, things like that. And if you're not interested in that, there will be timestamps down below where you can jump to my immediate reaction to the BNR announcement. So if you're not interested in hearing my thoughts, just skip ahead. It will be okay. And before I hop too far in, I would like to say that I am recovering from being sick. I actually took today off of work because I haven't been feeling well. My kid brought home something from daycare, and the whole family has been suffering the last 3 or 4 days. So I have cough drops in my pocket. I have ginger ale right here. I've had a really bad sore throat. And because of that, I haven't recorded videos almost all of last week. I have one video that's going to go live Wednesday, which is Vintage, a format that I do not expect to be hit in today's BNR announcement. And then after that, there's nothing. So I have to make some videos this week, sick or not, just so that way I can have something to publish Friday. So if I cough or anything like that, I'll do my best to edit it out. But if I don't, I'm sorry because I couldn't edit it out due to how the narration worked. So please forgive me. Um, but what do I expect to happen today? Let's start with Modern because I feel like Modern is the easiest format to look at. So most people expect Underworld Breach to be banned today. They just unbanned Mox Opal. It broke the format. And I actually have up the last BNR announcement here where Mox Opal was unbanned alongside a bunch of other broken cards, where I think that this was exactly what people wanted in other formats. They only did it in Modern, but Mox Opal broke the format because Underworld Breach is a broken card. Outside of Underworld Breach, Mox Opal has actually been great. And I think that Underworld Breach has been a ticking time bomb ever since it's been printed in Modern. So some people are like, just reban Mox Opal, don't ban Underworld Breach. It's been fine all this time. But I think Mox Opal is actually a better card for Modern than Underworld Breach. And I expect today that Underworld Breach will be banned in Modern. What does that mean for our favorite decks like Twiddlestorm or Lotus Breach, things like that? Ultimately, I think that those decks will need a drastic change in order to keep on surviving. So Lotus Field combo will still exist. There's the landless builds that run like one Lotus Field that you can get with Abundant Harvest, and then you run MDFC lands like Sink in a Stupor and things like that. So that way the Abundant Harvest always finds your Lotus Field. From there, you can go way back to like 2021, I want to say, where the Twiddlestorm decks were based around arcane spells like Ideas Unbound and Psychic Puppetry. I have tons of those videos on the channel where you had a non-deterministic kill that you could, use, and you would draw cards with Ideas Unbound, untapping the Lotus Field. Eventually, you would play Past in Flames into a Grape Shot. You could still do that. Is it up to Modern power level? I don't know. Things come and go in Magic, so some things might not be viable anymore. It happens. But that is one option that you could look at. The other is that I've uploaded videos with Recross the Paths. So I just edited out a cough there. So hopefully, this is still going smoothly. But I've uploaded videos with Recross the Paths and things like that where you do have a deterministic win and you could still play the ideas in combo in that deck. But then with that build, you only have the one land. There's also builds where you can play lands and you just don't play the Recross the Paths package. So there's a lot of different ways that you could build the deck, but I think it has to go back to being an arcane based build. You could run Twiddles and Dreams Grip and things like that, but ultimately I don't know if those builds will last in the current era of Modern. But that's my at least thought on the Lotus Field combo decks in Modern. So that's Modern in general. I don't know if we'll see any other changes in Modern, but that's what I'm at least expecting there. Underworld Breach banned in Legacy. So if you've probably heard my thoughts on the Eternal Glory podcast, where I believe that it should be Entomb, it should be um, Sowing Myco Spawn, and it should be Undercity Informer, not Balustrade Spy. So Spy is a card that can be hit by Consigned to Memory, which is a popular sideboard card, meaning that it is the worst of the two options. You can also play Undercity Informer and pass, and then win on the following turn, meaning that you need less mana in order to win. So Undercity Informer should probably be the card that goes, and it doesn't actually kill the Oops All Spells deck because you could still run Destroy the Evidence, which is a 5-mana sorcery in that spot, or you could just run main deck Goblin Charbelchers, which still allow this strategy to exist, but now it's weaker to Force of Negation, Force of Vigor, stuff like that. And I think it ultimately makes that deck come down to power level that is acceptable. A lot of people are like, why not just ban Jack-o'-lantern? I think bannings like that are actually kind of a joke. If you look at the ban lists across formats, you don't see too many of those fixes. So I don't think banning Jack-o'-lantern makes a lot of sense, because there's other cards that could be printed that just have a similar function. And I just think that if you're going to try to fix a problem, you go after what the problem is. You don't try to dance around it. And that's why I think that it should actually be Entomb in Legacy and not Troll of Khazad-dûm. I know that some of my podcast co-hosts disagree with me, and so does some of the online community, but Troll of Khazad-dûm would be one of the worst cards ever banned, in my opinion, if it was banned instead of Entomb. And when you look at other formats like Pauper, they banned Prophetic Prism for a similar reason. I expect later today Prophetic Prism to be unbanned in Pauper because it should never have been banned. It just wasn't up to snuff. And Troll of Khazad-dûm would be a similar fix where they're trying to keep Reanimator alive, but they're dancing around the problem. And the problem is Entomb. Entomb is a card that allows the Reanimator to play a silver bullet package, but also a very small condensed package. When you compare it to something like Sneak and Show, where they run 4 Atraxa, 4 Emrakul/Griselbrand, 4 Omniscience, 4 Sneak Attack, or whatever the numbers may be, it's a much larger package. With Reanimator and Entomb, you get away with 1 Atraxa, 1 Griselbrand, 1 Archon of Cruelty, and you get this really tiny package that you don't actually have to play things like Careful Study or any other discard outlets. And I feel like it's almost like cheating on top of it just being a silver bullet package. So if Entomb was to go, they'd have to play things like Careful Study or Hapless Researcher or whatever in order to exist, like the deck did in the early teens. You go back to the heyday of the Star City era, Blue Black Reanimator or Dimir Reanimator was very good, but they had to play things like Careful Study. And I think that's the power level that people would want again. If they did ban Troll of Khazad-dûm, there's things like Metamorphosis Fanatic, where that could just easily slot right in. I've seen builds that run Street Wraith for the Fanatic to bring back. Other people right now online are experimenting with Curator of Mysteries, which is a cycling creature that's a 4/4, where the Fanatic could bring back that. So I don't think that idea of banning Troll of Khazad-dûm is actually effective. So I think going after Troll of Khazad-dûm would be a mistake. It should be Entomb. Sowing Mycospawn just basically eliminates control from the metagame, which is why we've ended up with such a combo-heavy metagame the last set or so. Or last BNR cycle in general. So I think Sowing Mycospawn needs to go just so that control can exist to keep some of this broken combo in check. And that is sort of how I feel about it. So Entomb, Sowing Mycospawn, Undercity Informer. Pauper. So one thing to note, going back to this, is that Pauper's not on here. So Brawl, Timeless, they have all these other formats. Pauper is not a part of today's BNR announcement. It will come later as a separate announcement from the Pauper format panel. And respect to those people. They do a great job. I love their outlines on why they do things and stuff like that. So looking forward to reading that. What I expect to happen there is Prophetic Prism, Bonder's Ornament will be unbanned. I don't know. This is just a guess of mine. But those cards are a joke. They should never have been banned. I think that some people on the format panel probably just hated Tron because the numbers were never that bad when it was banned. When they came into existence, they did a lot of changes very quickly, and people loved it. And then things got kind of stagnant. I felt like Monastery Swiftspear was legal for far too long, and it was kind of an embarrassment because it really ruined a good section of that format for me. And ever since then, the changes have been very slow. And I liked when they were more liberal with their bannings and unbannings. And I think today we're going to see a pretty big shift. So a lot of people right now want Sadistic Glee banned, part of the Glee combo. I actually think that combo is completely fine. Combo should exist in Pauper. And I think that format, or that combo deck in this format, is a creature and an enchantment. So Snuff Out is one of the most popular cards in the format. You can snuff out the Basking Broodscale. You can naturalize or some other effect on the Sadistic Glee. But people hate combo, so they have this visceral reaction But the reality is that I don't think it's over the line. I really don't. But I think that they could ban sadistically today, but I don't think that they should. A lot of people on the Reddit are talking about deadly dispute because if you look at the Pauper Geddon results, there were 7 black decks in the top 8. And I think it's like weird to look at a bunch of different archetypes and just be like, they're all deadly dispute decks. Because when you look at the Pauper format, I was looking at Cycle Storm recently. But like Grixis Affinity and Jund Broodscale are not the same deck, but they both play Deadly Dispute. Jund Wildfire's a non-blue control deck that plays Deadly Dispute. You have Tron that plays Deadly Dispute. And basically people are lumping Deadly Dispute decks into one category, but they're all vastly different. So people really want Deadly Dispute banned. I don't know if it will be. It will be interesting to see if it happens later today. But that's one thing that happens. I know that a member of the panel really hates the bridges, which would hit Grixis Affinity and the Jund Wildfire deck, which were overperformers at Pauper Geddon. But if you look at decks like Burn or Bogles, Blue Fairies, the Golgari Broodscale deck doesn't play them. None of these decks play bridges. And I think that Red actually is one of the most popular decks in the format, and it gets away. A lot of people are like, maybe you should go after the original artifact lands from Mirrodin. I think that they're actually a part of the format identity. I would not touch those in Pauper. That's my own personal opinion. I think that if you wanted to go after the mono red deck, you should ban Kadoltha Rebirth, which doesn't kill the deck at all. But part of the problem with the red deck is that it's so good. You have 21 drops, literally 21 drops. And the biggest offender is Goblin Tomb Raider, because if you have an artifact, it gets +1/+0 and haste. Speaking of artifacts, you have 4 Great Furnace. So it's a 2/2 haste for 1 red, better than Goblin Guide. So that is why people would want to go after Great Furnace in the original artifact lands. But I think the real problem with this deck is actually Kadoltha Rebirth, because it allows you to play Goblin Bushwhacker and go wide, but also all at once. So it gives you this ability to make spot removal bad, but on top of that, it enables things like Experimental Synthesizer for card advantage. So if you hit Kadoltha Rebirth, you hit their card advantage and you hit their ability to go wide. So now spot removal and life gain matter, which is exactly what you would want against a red deck. But for some reason, the Pauper format panel just refuses to hit Kadoltha Rebirth, even though that this has been the problematic card for ages. And I don't understand it, but that is the card that they should hit out of the red deck. And, you know, we'll see if it ever happens. I don't know if it will, but red continues to be on the top ban cycle after ban cycle because they're not acknowledging the real issue of Kadoltha Rebirth enabling card advantage and the ability to make spot removal bad. So if you make spot removal bad, if you make it good again, you can go after things like the Goblin Tomb Raider, and then life gain holds off things like Chain Lightning, and you get a more traditional play pattern against the red decks. So we'll see what they do. I would expect Bonder's Ornament and Prophetic Prism unbanned, maybe Bridges banned, and, you know, maybe something like Sadistic Glee, maybe a card out of the red deck. I'm not actually sure. But Pauper is my second favorite format at this point, and I'm hoping to see some meaningful changes there. So now it's 11 a.m. I'm going to refresh, see if we have anything yet. Nothing yet. Okay. So we're going to continue waiting. All of this is live. I'm not editing anything other than my coughing, just because, you know, I want it to be genuine. I have no idea what's going to happen today. I do have some inside knowledge on Pauper a little bit, which is through the grapevine. I know someone who's very close with a member of the PFP who said that there's going to be some pretty big changes in Pauper today. But I don't know if that is true or not. I just have to take the person's that I know's word on it. But I don't know anything about cards or anything. It's just my own predictions. Hopefully it is true and we do get some pretty big changes today, but I have no idea. All right, so it's now 11:01. No changes yet. Give it another refresh. No dice. All right, so it is now up. Underworld Breach is banned as expected. Sowing Mycospawn is banned. Troll of Khazad-dûm. I think they hit the wrong card. I really do. Kadoltha Rebirth is banned. Deadly Dispute is banned. Prophetic Prism. High Tide is unbanned. They unbanned High Tide. Oh my god. I'm going to be playing High Tide and Pauper. Let's go. Let's go. They actually hit Kadoltha Rebirth. I can't believe it. Wow. Prophetic Prism is unbanned. They misspelled it in the article. But they unbanned High Tide. That is so exciting. I'm going to definitely be playing High Tide and Pauper. Holy moly. I guess I was talking about that Ideas Unbound deck. You can now play that in Pauper. Without Lotus Field, obviously, but I am excited to be brewing High Tide. Holy moly! That is super exciting news. They actually banned Khazad-dûm Rebirth, Deadly Dispute. I'm way more excited for the Pauper changes than I am the Legacy changes. I think they messed up here, but we'll see. All right, so let's jump down to Legacy. Underworld. Actually, let's do it in order. So we have Modern, Underworld Breaches banned. So they point out Jesse's winning list from the RC. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. All right. Legacy. It does a good job of emulating a balanced format. Yeah, okay. When you look at the Goldfish results, I disagree. Over 11% of Dimir Reanimator, Dimir Tempo. I just don't agree. Eldrazi up to the third most played deck. And they didn't hit Spy at all. Or, you know, I think we're going to be stuck in another format where Spy's too good. I really think banning Troll of Khazad-dûm was a mistake. I really do. But we'll see. Basically, it just means that they have to play more cycling cards. So Street Wraith, Curator of Mysteries, more cards that work with Metamorphosis Fanatic. I don't think actually going after Troll of Khazad-dûm was meaningful. I really don't. And then they went after Sowing Mycospawn, which is a change most people wanted. I think outside of the dedicated Eldrazi / Cloudpost specialist, most people wanted Sowing Mycospawn gone. Its ability to get Wasteland was just way too devastating. And then Vintage, no changes. There's a lot of discussion around Lure, so I'm not surprised that they mentioned it here. But, wow. All right, Pauper. They didn't give us much just because, oh, they have their own article. Let's open this. This is by Gavin. Okay. So I can't believe they actually did the Khazad-dûm Rebirth thing. So I am friends with Alex Ullman, and I've been telling him off to the side for over a year now that I thought Khazad-dûm Rebirth was the problem. And I always kind of felt like it fell on deaf ears. And by the way, when I said that I expected, or I had a friend who knows somebody on the PFP, Alex Ullman has the highest integrity and would never tell me anything. But I know someone that knows somebody, and they said that we were getting some pretty big changes today, so I'm not surprised. But Alex Ullman, highest integrity. No information came from him. So they talk about Basking Broodscale here, the Glee combo deck, 53.3 win percentage. I'm sorry, 53.5 win percentage. So it's actually under the 55 win percentage that they typically like to use. So I'm a little surprised by that. Deadly Dispute. So this hurts Cycle Storm, right? When you look at my Goldfish link for Deadly Dispute, right here. But if you're a member of our Discord, which I have off to the side, we've been talking in there about what to do if Deadly Dispute is banned. And I don't think I have Magic Online open. I don't. But I've been working on a deck list with no Deadly Dispute that I think might actually be better than the one with Deadly Dispute. So we'll come back to that in just a moment. So I'd like to finish going through this first. So there's still Eviscerator's Insight. There's the one that gives you a map that I can't think of the name off the top of my head. Fanatical Offering. There we go. So there's other ones that you could play, Reckoner's Bargain, but they went after Deadly Dispute. I want to hear about Khazad-dûm Rebirth. So Khazad-dûm Rebirth was interesting because it existed for so long without anyone valuing it. But it wasn't until Initiative came around that people realized that Khazad-dûm Rebirth was broken because it gained you the initiative through a turn one large creature. And ever since then, people have been all about Khazad-dûm Rebirth because once you gain knowledge, it doesn't go away. And ever since that, people have been struggling with the red deck because it goes wide and spot removal isn't bad. So, or isn't good. I'm sorry. I'm still sick. Bear with me. So like now you have all these broken one drops, but they get better and better. And I think if you ban Khazad-dûm Rebirth, the artifact package is a little bit worse. So I think that this is actually just fine. And it makes Clockwork Percussionist worse too as a one drop. So I am all about Khazad-dûm Rebirth being banned. That makes sense to me. And then they go into trial unbans, high tide. So I am super excited about this one. I think that this is going to be the video that I try to push live on Friday. Yeah, so they mentioned that Snap is still legal. I mean, Snap is going to be in my deck list. But I've actually already posted a deck list. I mean, I don't have it on my account anymore. But Gavin, like a year ago, was like, what does Pauper look like if we unban High Tide? And I posted a deck list. I'd like to go through that again because Lorien Revealed exists now. I'm going to have a pretty sweet video Friday. So come back Friday. I'm going to have a Pauper High Tide video for you. Really, really excited about this. They said that the next BNR is June 30th, and they expect to hear about High Tide's fate then. So I'm going to be playing High Tide. That's what I'm excited about. I think Prophetic Prism might be the worst card that's ever been banned in Magic's history. It is terrible. Like, the fact that this card was ever banned is a joke. And I let Alex Ullman know. Alex Ullman and I are friends. Like, we talk about baseball all the time. And regularly, I let Alex know that this card is a joke. This card never should have been banned. So, glad it got unbanned because the card is trash. There's also Energy Refractor, which in my opinion is just better than this card. So, yeah, cool. You got a terrible card off the ban list. Yeah, so shout out to the Pauper format panel. I value all of you and glad to see some meaningful changes in a format that I love. I do think Legacy, they kind of missed the ball here. I don't know why. Like, I wish that people that made the BNR updates would listen to the Eternal Glory podcast, where we were pretty loud that a card out of Spy had to be hit, and they just did not listen. So I think we're going to be stuck in another format where Spy gets to live, and it's just super not fun to face at high play rates. Like, it's a deck that should exist, but for a while, Oops was actually the third most popular deck in the format. I could see Oops being the best deck after this banning. I really could. I think they botched it, but we'll see. And June 30th is so far away, too. I hate the cadence of the BNR announcements. I really do. I think they are way too far. I think that's actually a change we need to see, is the cadence be shorter. I don't think they necessarily need to be every month, but every other month would be great. It's just 2 months or 3 months is too much time. And I don't know why Legacy is tied to the RCQ timeframe. Legacy is not an RCQ format, neither is Pauper. Just the fact that bans every 3 months so that they're either quarterly feels terrible, because I haven't played Legacy outside of recorded videos since the last BNR. I just don't care about playing a format that's terrible. And I think that we're about to be in another format that's not good because they dropped the ball on what they were supposed to do today. So I don't like being negative here on this channel, but those are my honest thoughts. Really excited about Pauper right now. I think Legacy, they dropped the ball again. That's my TLDR. Thank you for watching, and have a great day. Keep storming. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to support the channel. After you do that, open up our description where you can find all of our social media networks, including our Discord, where you can discuss today's deck in that Discord with me and tons of other combo masterminds. It's absolutely free to join, and it's certainly worth your while.